Excellent.
That's all. I just want
Sure.
Jason to come and take a picture of the things that we have kids on there too.
Excellent.
But they're more involved in administrative duties,
They don't look unhappy, which is a good thing.
Yeah, nah, they're very comfortable, at least as far as I'm aware.
Yeah.
Yes, my brother.
Yes, sir. Hi.
This is Kizzy, right? This is Jason.
I do
Most
this with
versatile
style.
Jason, right? See why it's called. That question, ask, man. Different. This is where the inspiration that's coming in.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Zmari Talks. This is a new, improved season, and I'm so excited because there's such a phenomenal cast of people lined up. Have a very qualified person who's going to be chatting with us today. This gentleman is an entrepreneur, not just a business owner. He's an entrepreneur. He's a family man. He has such strong values and principles. And how are you?
Yeah, very good.
Yes, sir.
You want to tell me
And I'm eager to find out his story. I don't know it. I genuinely don't know it, and I'm eager to find out, what got him to the place that he's at right now. So, welcoming to the pod, Kwame Trim.
Thank you very much, Kizzy, for having me here on your podcast. And yeah, I'm delighted to share my story and get people to understand exactly my journey.
Yeah. Now, as I said, I don't know his story, so let's go from the beginning. Beginning.
Yeah.
Where are you from? Who are you?
Right.
Tell
So
us.
my name is Kwame Trim. The majority of my childhood years was spent on Prisca Road, number 9 Prisca Road in South. From there, I went to primary school in Mova Local Valley School. Uh, I then went to St. George's College
Okay.
afterwards, and El Dorado Senior Comprehensive.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that is basically the beginning and where I come from, and my educational background.
Nice. What point did you decide that I want to be a business owner? Like, is that journey, and why?
So, and that's a good question. I always knew
Right.
that I was different
Yeah.
in terms of when I was at school, I was extremely well behaved.
Okay.
No, I wasn't.
I shocked.
So I wasn't. So the thing is, I had some issues in school.
Right.
A lot of issues because I knew that something was wrong. Something
It didn't fit the mold.
low. And my entire family, like my siblings, they were extremely intelligent, they were bright,
Okay.
very bright. My brother went to St. Mary's, my sister went to St. Joseph Convent and so on. And for me, most of the things that came very easy for them
Right.
was extremely difficult.
Right.
And so, going to school, I was happy up to a point where I started feeling like, I don't want to do this. And I was just going through the motions, actually, scraping grades.
Yeah.
The things that I wanted to do, the places I wanted to be, the things that I actually wanted to learn was not a part of the curriculum.
Mm-hmm.
So essentially, I started falling behind tremendously because I stopped paying attention to what
The
what
teachers were
correct
teaching.
correct and started focusing my energies elsewhere. You know, all in the later part of Form 4 and Form 5, it got to the point where I just didn't want to go to school anymore.
Right. Yeah.
You know, but of course, you have strict parents
Force you.
that wanted to make certain that
Yeah.
you had that educational foundation, which I'm very thankful for. And that is what really kind of kept me in school.
Wow.
But I actually couldn't wait
To get
to be
out.
removed from there. Yeah, yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
You always knew, and
Yeah.
you had a tumultuous, well, educational background.
Yeah.
So anybody thinking or looking at that is like, well, forget he because he's a delinquent.
Right.
Automatically you get painted in that, especially if you're
Absolutely.
making certain decisions.
Absolutely.
So what was the point where you said, okay, well, I just gonna pursue something that I care about. So okay, school didn't work out for me. What was
So,
that transition?
so like I said, it's something inexplainable, something that you feel. It is something that you know. I am in charge.
Mhm.
I am born to be in charge.
And it can't
Uh,
sit under
yeah,
somebody
so
else.
yeah, and it's like, no matter what, you know that you have to do something that would, open a space where you would have that type of freedom
Mhm.
to control and to get things done and to define success by your own terms.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So after school, I started fishing around. I lived in the US for some
Okay.
time. And the US was a great experience and a
Nice.
great teacher for me, a great eye opener. I tried school again in the US. I started school, but of course that didn't work out because I didn't want to be there in the first place.
Mhm.
But the US sincerely opened my eyes
Mhm. Mhm.
to opportunities in terms of your mindset,
Mhm.
in terms of your thinking, in terms of uh, diversity,
Yeah.
business. The US taught me that you can make money doing anything.
Anything. Yeah.
And that was one of the main reasons why I started becoming more and more inclined
Mhm.
to get something done.
What was your first business?
Nice. So my very first business, believe it or not, people would know this. I mean, tried selling DVDs.
Oh, lovely.
Right? Right?
With the big box?
No,
Okay,
not
okay.
that. I was actually in the US when I
Oh, wow.
started selling DVDs.
Mhm.
Of course, that was an extremely risky business because
Mhm.
the
Pirates.
Americans don't play.
Pirates and
Correct,
nice.
correct. The Americans don't play where copyright
Mhm.
infringements and so on is concerned. So that didn't last very long. But afterwards, what happened? I met uh, an African guy
Hmm.
and another guy from Trinidad, he's deceased now, Ima. And I started buying shoes, sneakers, wholesale,
Mhm.
and shipping them to Trinidad.
Mhm. Okay.
And that was actually the first lucrative business that I had.
Mhm.
Um, Men like, people wouldn't even understand. Men like Sparks International and so on. When them brothers was selling in the market,
Mhm.
they used to buy
From
shoes
you.
from me.
Wow.
So, I would ship barrels at Clarks, Jordan, Air Max 95 and all these things. I ship these things to Trinidad and sell them wholesale to
Yeah.
persons who are interested in doing business and then go back and buy sneakers again wholesale and ship them,
Yeah.
That started and went on for some time until it evolved into other things.
Mm.
So still important export, but now I started to do cars,
Okay.
right?
Okay. That's
And
some big jumps, but okay.
yeah. So after a while, I came back to Trinidad and import, export again, vehicles. Uh, I have some friends, I have some guys I went to school with who were involved
Right.
in the same business. And yeah, I started bringing vehicles, and that evolved as well and became very successful. That was my
Nice.
first very, very successful business.
Yeah. I
Uh,
guess the capital gain there is greater.
Absolutely. It entailed a lot of money management skills and so on,
Right.
which I would have gathered over the other businesses that I
Okay.
started before.
All right.
I would have gained that type of knowledge and know-how in terms of money management,
Mhm.
being able to to adjust
Yeah.
and to differentiate capital from expense and all these things.
Mm.
And so that went on for some while. It was extremely successful until
Mm.
things started getting all that very rough in terms of personal imports, government imposed restrictions, U.S. availability. You know, a lot of times we had many disgruntled persons in terms of doing business. And we started, and then the government imposed this restriction on that, and then, you know, and everything trickled back, correct, and fall back on the owner, the business owner, the exporter, the importer. And after a while, I started feeling as if personal imports and importing vehicles and so on was becoming too much of a burden, and the profit margins were beginning to dwindle. So even though you would have all these issues with persons and people and customers and all these different things, because of the restrictions, because of the new rules, because of whatever disagreements and so on, you had now smaller profits. And that, to me, it started not making much sense.
Yeah.
Right? So even though that was like one of my first babies in terms of business, I never completely disregarded it. But I started looking for other options and other means by which to generate income.
Yeah.
Because it started, like I said, it started becoming more stressful, and it started becoming more difficult in terms of being an income earner. And with that now, opened the doors to one of my most lucrative businesses to this date.
Right. Before you go into that one,
Yeah.
because I wanted to go into that, but like people would think, and it's two things. People would think, okay, the academic side, I wasn't great at the academic side, but clearly you got into different businesses, which means you still had to learn things.
Yes.
So how was that journey of okay, that learning? It's like you were more than open to that compared to academics?
Right.
Like
So, and that's a very good question. So the thing about it is, yes, I was extremely excited to
right.
learn and to know how to make money. And
Right.
that is one of the things I was trying to explain to you from since in school. That is how I thought. I knew that I wanted in Form 3, Form 4, I wanted to be out there. I didn't want to be in there. And I knew that I wanted to do something. I wanted to generate income. I wanted to drive. I wanted to, I had these thoughts very, very early.
Yeah.
So it was very exciting for me to want to learn something new in terms of trade, in terms of business, in terms of, it could have been anything.
Yeah.
I just wanted to learn something outside of mathematics and English and physics and chemistry and all
Of
this stuff.
course. And I bring that up because parents, of course, we have this go to school, get a job, those kind of things.
So,
And parents could restrict children.
so let me mention something as you say that. You're absolutely correct.
Yeah.
Parents can restrict children. If I had told my parents in Form 3 that I wanted to become a businessman or a business owner, I probably get it.
Yeah.
Probably it would have probably been an abomination because traditionally our parents would tell us you need to become a doctor, lawyer, engineer, police, and so work in a bank. You know what I'm saying? And we have very little options outside of that. So essentially, we were taught that there's only one way to become successful, which is completely incorrect information. Completely incorrect. And for me now, as a parent of my own, I try to support my children in anything. For example, my son decided that he wants to become a YouTuber.
Okay.
And I am fully supportive of it because I know the potential and particularly the earning potential of these types of
Yeah.
yeah. So traditionally again we have the misconception that there is only one way to success, or success can only be achieved by one way. I before now I'm educated now,
Right. That's it.
but I'll tell it here. However, I have never used a piece of paper or any part of my
Education.
formal education
Wow.
to achieve anything that I have in this life. Right? I went back to school at 34 years old. I learned that
Wow.
yeah, learned a degree in business management.
And you
Right?
already had a
Yeah,
business.
and I'll tell you this. The reason I did it is because I wanted to, because I
Correct.
felt
I love that.
I felt that yes, no, I
Love
want
that.
to. No, I wanted to learn in school. I feel like I want to do this. And there's nothing more powerful
Yeah.
than the will.
Yeah.
The will. There's nothing more powerful than the will. If you
Mhm.
want to do something, you're gonna do it. And the thing about that is you're going to make sure and do it.
And you would do well.
Right, exactly. So yeah, and I did extremely well in business management. As a matter of fact, um, big respect to my economics teacher. I won economics debate
Okay.
in the year that I went, and I did that as well. Too. I'm currently doing my masters, my MBA.
Wow.
Which is I'm supposed to be complete with that in November of this year.
Excellent.
So it just goes to show that when you're ready to do certain things,
Mhm.
that is when the doors will open and you will be able to embrace
Yeah.
whatever is coming to you. If it is you're put in a situation where you're uncomfortable,
And you wouldn't be your best. You would not be able to produce your best.
exactly. So um, that is really one of the 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 highlights
Mm.
that do things according to your pace. Define success by your own terms.
Mm-hmm.
You do not need to, even though traditionally people will say to you, this is how it's supposed to be done. I am telling you, no,
Mm-hmm.
it can be done in the way that you want it to be done.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what I did.
Yeah, I love that. You started with your DVDs, you went to shoes, and then you went into cars.
Yeah.
Sometimes people could get stuck, especially when you have that business owner mindset. Listen, this DVDs thing, how to make me the millions. What was that made you say, okay, I would change. I'm willing to take risk in other businesses, learn something completely new. I would put this on the back burner. I love this. This was my baby, but I don't need to continue in this for the rest of my life.
For me, it wasn't really about switching, but it was more about more.
Right.
I wanted more.
Yeah.
That just, you just adopt that mindset that you had that drive and you're youthful too.
Mhm.
And once, like a lion, you taste blood. You know what could happen
Mhm.
in terms of making a business successful. And that is what continued to drive me and motivate me in terms of wanting to diversify. So it wasn't like I wanted to close one business down
Right.
and open something else. I just wanted to keep going.
Yeah.
But the epiphany came
Mhm.
and it became more abundantly clear when I started reading,
Hmm.
when I became introduced to books,
Yeah.
to entrepreneurs and entrepreneurial stories. That is when the true monster
Wow.
come out. That is when the monster come out.
Yeah.
I read books on investment. I read a lot of books. I read Robert Kiyosaki,
Yeah.
Rich Dad Poor Dad. I read the 14 Rules of Power. I
Right.
read a bunch of other books that I could call and continue to tell you about. And these books open your mind,
Yeah.
open your thoughts. And then while reading, you literally feeling yourself in the position.
Mm-hmm.
And that is what made you want to apply the things that you learned
Yeah.
through reading
Yeah.
into your physical life.
Mm-hmm.
And by using these tools or the tools that they give you through to reading and understanding these books is what I actually use. So I told a lot of people, and when people ask me, how you become successful, what did you do, and so uh, did you have a mentor? I didn't have a mentor until very late.
Right.
And essentially what I did was copy my way to the top.
Okay.
I make no reservations
Of
in
course.
saying that. Some people think, it's bad. Oh, he's a follow fashion or you copy this one or I don't care. I know I saw certain people and certain businesses that I wanted to emulate,
Right.
and I looked at their models, studied them intricately. I
Right.
went, I tried to get to meet certain people, which I did on more than one occasion. One person, a Syrian asked me, she's saying, look, you're real brave. But
Wow. Wow.
he said, you are real brave, you man. He said, nobody don't come and ask for me here just so.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? And I follow and copy my youth.
Yeah.
That was generally, uh, for me, what really build and continue to build my businesses by trying to seek out more knowledge and more information, always looking for ways to diversify,
Mhm.
always looking for multiple streams
Right.
of income. Some people will watch and I remember too, um, after I started selling vehicles and importing and doing things. And the moment I just opened e-business Diamond Bright Janitorial Services. It was me and my wife.
Mhm.
We it was just the two of us, and we started, doing private things. This is the type of drive you would have because nothing becomes beneath you. Because I was already clocking, I was already making six figures.
Mhm.
I didn't have to.
Mhm.
Even though it was frustrating, even though the profit margins were becoming small, I still had the mindset that I wanted to diversify into something different.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I remember there was this one job we went to do. I'm not going to call the name. It was in a school.
Okay.
I had a machine, a floor machine, and we went to do the floors. We went to
Wow.
strip and seal and polish the floor. And there's this one guy who saw me. He knew who I was. He said, "But you wicked, I'm telling you, about everything on your under." Look at me like that, and I just smile. And in my thoughts, I'm like, yes, I want everything.
That's good. That's good.
No, I'm saying I do want
Yeah.
everything. If you do not want
Oh,
anything,
wow.
then you will have nothing.
That's true. That's
So,
true.
so a lot of people may have become offended by that.
Wow.
But I use these things. I tend to
Yeah.
use these things as motivation. And I spoke to mom after about it and we just laughed. So if you come to me and you saying, "Well, you wicked out because you believe I am not supposed to be here,"
Yeah.
that is, it speaks volumes as to your mindset.
How you see yourself.
Correct.
Yeah.
As to your mindset.
Mhm.
My mindset is completely different.
Yeah.
So I have a different perspective on
Yeah.
everything. So
Mhm.
it took nothing of me to put on my boots and my old clothes and saddle up that machine and go there and start to ship because I knew what I wanted to bring Diamond Bright into. And from that time,
Mm.
from just the two of us, we now close to about 116 employees staff. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not just Diamond Bright. You
No,
have you have
Emo General Contracting.
right. So that company what governs all the other
Right.
companies.
So the banner, our umbrella company is Trim Group of Companies.
Mhm.
Right. So we have Diamond Bright Janitorial Services. We have uh, EMOB General Contracting Services, and we also have Easy Shop PT.
Okay.
right? So what we specialize in is janitorial, total facilities management, janitorial services, building maintenance. Um, then we have institutional supplies. This is
Okay.
the AMOG general contracting. We focus on the actual tools and equipment, sales and
Which makes
services.
sense. I mean, you're in the service industry
Absolutely.
already.
It's correct. So, we started supplying now
Go ahead. Let's move together.
chemical brands. We started supplying
Right.
the tools, the equipment, and not only to other uh, entities, we started buying from ourselves.
Okay. Okay.
So the
Right.
tools
So
needed to perform the service,
understood. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
we started buying from ourselves.
I love it.
So, and that is what gave rise to uh, EMOC. We also do construction,
Okay.
construction on that. As a matter of fact, our very last project was the Trinidad and Tobago cancer hospital that was just built there. Yeah, I did that.
Okay. I did not know that.
Yeah, no, you didn't know. There's a lot of things.
That's real good.
Yeah. So, and then we have Easy Shop, where it's an online, it began as
Right.
an online
Mhm.
uh, general department store, like a variety store.
Right.
That is how it began. And the drivers going out there and doing deliveries. But then persons started asking
A walk-in.
a point of contact. Where is this place located? How we can get all these things. So,
I have a store.
yeah, so I got this stock on and we have the
Excellent.
stock on the QFD.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're kind of juggling a lot in a sense. So you started off with Diamond Bright. Diamond Bright started to grow in a particular way.
Right.
Why you went into deliveries, or you just want, it's like, people think that one company can't become multiple streams of income.
Right.
If you understand me.
Right.
You are still in the same type of industry, but you
Mhm.
have been able to capitalize on multiple streams of income from doing one service, which is just cleaning floors,
Good.
polishing floors.
So the people always say don't put your eggs in one basket.
Mhm.
And like I said, the more you read and the more you get exposed to certain things,
Mhm.
you will be able, it will start coming naturally how to separate and how to diversify and how to bring multiple streams together.
Mhm.
So essentially what I'm saying is this, you will start recognizing how to monetize anything.
Nice. Yes.
So what we did was we started with the service provider part of the business.
Mhm.
And within being a service provider, we need certain things which we used to buy from suppliers.
Mhm.
But then after we started growing and we started spending exorbitant amounts of money by suppliers, we decided, hey, why not be able to buy from ourselves?
Mhm.
And not only buy from ourselves, but also provide the same supplies to other persons that are trying to do the same business.
Right. So you're helping other businesses as well.
Absolutely.
Excellent.
Absolutely. So, so just as where we started, other
Of
businesses
course.
can also,
Yeah.
benefit from
So now you buy those things wholesale, like
So,
how?
yeah, so we import
Good.
we import again, which ties into one of the other
Your
businesses.
history, your
Exactly.
history coming into play.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we would bring containers,
Nice.
import from China, from Panama, and so on, our institutional supplies. And yeah, we would distribute.
So you cut out whoever middleman there was, you
Right.
go directly.
Obviously, sometimes we would still buy from local suppliers because there is no point in time that you will always have everything here
Right.
and readily available. And of course, with regards to the logistics in importing and so on, there will always be times where you would need something else or need somebody else. So we also have wholesalers here who we depend on for support as well.
Nice. Okay. In building this trim group of companies, you had to grow. You talk about reading and stuff,
Yeah.
but there's like, what type of habits did you have to build in your life and your routine to become the person? Not just to have this business, but
Pause.
to manage.
Pause. You're not easy, way. You're not easy. This is where the inspiration has come.
Uh-huh.
Um, ask me again.
Good. So to be able to run a enterprising company, because it's expanding as you go by, and to be able to manage an employee base of 160 plus persons, what habits did you have to develop in your life beyond reading to become the person to manage that? Because there's a lot of things we face: self-esteem, discouragement, wanting to quit. There's a lot of things that you go through. So what?
So is and that question is a lot. And sometimes I even get emotional speaking about this part of the journey because you literally have to transform.
Mhm,
You need to transform
mhm. Yeah.
the habits, the way you speak, the clothes you wear, the way
Mhm,
you talk, the way you walk, the
mhm.
people that you interact and
Come
engage
on.
with,
Mhm.
your mindset. So you need to be all in.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is by no means that hey, I'm up for PNM.
Of course. Of course.
So, but you need to be on all in.
Yeah. Yeah.
So for me, what happened was I knew where I wanted to be. I knew the position that I wanted to be at.
Mhm.
I knew who I wanted to become.
Mhm.
And I was successfully able to embrace change.
Right.
The transition was shaky
Of
because it
course.
did not one day.
Of course.
But
Mhm.
after you start building a routine, and it is going to be difficult because many times you would hear, only do a time with we again, he rich and switch. He this, he that, they, he other, he arrogant, he feel it, they no. It has nothing to do with these things.
Mhm.
It is about transition.
Yeah.
And the only way you will be able to transition, there is no half step.
Wow.
Is either you're
Mhm.
fully in
Mhm. Mhm.
or you're out.
Mhm.
It's easy.
Mhm.
And this is what I started reading more. I started spending more time and asking questions to the persons who I believe deserved my time or I deserved their time.
Mhm.
I started uh, paying attention to myself physically,
Yeah.
mentally,
Mhm.
emotionally,
Mhm.
spiritually. I
Mhm.
started paying attention to these things. And it needed to be consistent.
Mhm.
So
That's good.
you couldn't read today and not read tomorrow. You couldn't pray today and not pray
Yeah.
tomorrow. You couldn't go to the gym today and not go tomorrow. So I started building
Mhm.
a routine that would be conducive to successful operation.
Mhm.
And that routine is what assisted me in terms of my transition
Yeah.
until it became like normal.
Mhm.
After a while, you're fighting to try to break out of the routine now because it gets so normal.
Mhm.
But I believe one of the key ingredients to a successful person or a successful business is routine.
Yeah.
So, essentially what I'm saying is this. If it is you believe that you want to reach here to point A,
Mhm.
you need to be able to do what it takes to get to point A.
Mhm.
If you need to become this person, you need to study that person, understand what it takes or
Mhm.
what it took for them to become that person.
Mhm.
And then you need to essentially do exactly that.
Yeah.
And that is what I did, which is the reason why I am not ashamed to talk and say that, there are persons that I saw who I wanted to become like or wanted to be like them. And that is what I use
Mhm.
to fuel me and inspire me
Mhm.
and motivate me.
Mhm.
Right?
They always say that success leaves clues, but we're not always paying attention to those clues. So being able to copy something is like other people might think, I want to start something new, I want to do my own thing. But there are people who have done it before. There are people who have already.
Absolutely. And this is what I'm saying. And for me, it was like a constant desire to know who is who, where, and what, and why. It was a consistent desire to know. And when I found out or found things that I wanted to do or people who I wanted to be like, I put myself in place to emulate that.
So you talk about there are certain lifestyle changes that you made, in particular dress code.
Absolutely. So, when you know we young people, I
Because I
started
noticed
business.
this. This is one thing I did notice about you, like immediately when you decided I'm not gonna dress like this anymore.
Right, right. Yes, and I think you are one of the persons that voiced it, that said it to me, that openly came and say, "Hey, I recognize something, and I think it's a really good look for you."
Correct.
I started. Oh, so long I know you, man. Wow, 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 wow. Yeah. So yeah, I decided I gotta get up one day and I all the Jordans and all the three-quarter pants and all the t-shirts and I just get one day, I kid you not, I just pack everything in a bag and give it out.
Yeah.
Every,
Yeah, no turning back.
listen, every single pair of sneakers, every t-shirt. And you know what I did? I went and I bought what people would call soft pants.
Mm-hmm.
Started wearing soft pants and button-ups. Then I call my brother and I ask him, where do you buy like suits? Where you buy suits and so on? And I know my brother wears a lot of suits. And he gave me this website. And then I called my mentor when he pursue what my mentor at the time. And he gave me another website and he said, look, check this out. And from that, on clean.
Yeah.
And then to be able to look good in these suits now, your body had to transform as well.
Right.
So you know what I'm saying? So that
Okay.
your body have to transform.
Yeah.
The gym for me is life. No. And the reason why the gym for me is life is because a lot of people don't know this. I gym for more than one reasons. For health reasons, one. For mental reasons and mindset reasons, emotional reasons. After you burn out, you burn that energy in the gym, you feel good. You're able to sleep comfortably after. Um, Also discipline.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Discipline. The gym teaches you discipline. There are many times, yeah, you look good, you look nice, whatever the case is. There are many times you get up and you really, oh God,
Don't want to go.
I can't take this. Why doing this? Why torturing myself like this for? Torturing yourself like this to stay in charge.
It's good.
And
Yeah.
if you really want to stay in charge, the discipline yourself to do.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I said, for me, I think, not only for me, I believe if persons consider the gym from that perspective, they would understand life.
Mm. It's good.
The gym teach you a lot of lessons and so on.
Yeah.
You know?
My sister gyms a lot and she always says like it definitely helps with mental health.
Absolutely, absolutely, she's right. So mental and after you go and you burn out that stress and burn out that energy, all you want to do is just relax. Afterwards, and it helps you to sleep comfortably. And not only that, the mindset that you put in yourself under this type of pressure to achieve a certain result.
Mm-hmm. And then you start seeing results. So it makes you now look at other areas. It's like, okay, I could discipline myself in these areas
Exactly.
to get results.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's
Exactly.
good. Tell me what is next because you have built this enterprise now. What more? Because there's always a desire for more. What is next for you?
Well, we wait and see.
Okay.
So, I mean, we have a lot of ideas. I have a lot of ideas. We also have a lot of things looking at right now, a lot of investments already made. Of course, it is very important to stay relevant and innovative in terms of technology, best practices, and so on in terms of business. And there's always the space and the room there to diversify. Being able to pivot is exponentially important as well. And as you can see, along the journey, I pivoted quite a number of times. So, uh, we just want to continue to move along in that regard and continue to make strides at expanding and diversifying and creating a more sustainable space.
My closing up questions would look like you're a family man. So how has all of these things impacted your family life
So,
and even made you a better husband and father in a sense? The reading the books, the the gym and getting all that stress.
so let me tell you, there's no, how to say this, in everything you do, sacrifices need to be made. And the sacrifice that I made for my family is actually that.
Is that time?
So the thing about it is I know for a fact that I can be more present or a little more often, do certain things. I take every chance that I get to spend with them. If we here or if we go somewhere outside, we travel and all these things. However, I try to get them to understand regularly that the sacrifices that are being made now would be able to benefit them any longer. So um, physically and financially, they happy. However, I know particularly for my kids, they would probably believe that I could spend a little more time with them also. You know, like I said, travel a lot, do a lot of things. I'm present sometimes, many times because of the responsibilities. I would not be able to do things maybe the way that they would probably want me to. But outside of that, I try to make up for it in every other aspect.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So I know they are extremely happy children. That's what,
Right.
and yeah, for my wife is the same thing. I know that that she too may believe that time is important, but I try to make up for these things
Yeah.
in every other.
I mean, to run something like this.
Yeah, it's important, and
Okay.
I'll tell you this, I have the support from her.
Yeah.
Um, she's already there. She's actually general manager in one of the businesses there.
Lovely.
So, I have the support and yes, I believe they fully understand the sacrifices and the things that it takes to become a successful so entity.
Yes.
Yeah.
So last thing,
Yeah.
word of advice or word of encouragement that you would say to somebody.
Off the back, persistent.
Wow. Yeah.
Many times people believe that because of where I come from, because of who I am, because of who my family is, because essentially most important because of my past, because of what I do before, people believe that these things are prohibitive or restrictions in terms of being able to achieve your full potential. One of my greatest quotes, and I say it all the time to everybody, is a man who has no vision for his future will always return to his past.
Right.
So the fact is, if it is you are not persistent in your pursuit of
Right.
greatness,
Yeah.
then you will never become great.
Right.
If it says you harbor a negative mindset or negative energy or even thoughts prohibitive to you becoming successful, then you will not be successful.
Yeah.
So, in one word, persistence.
Yeah.
Uh, when I went to primary school, the primary school motto was the will does it. And I believe those are the words that subconsciously resonated in my mind from that day until now.
Mhm.
No matter what you decide to do in life, you cannot lose if you keep trying one more time.
Yeah.
So that is essentially my story. I wish we had more time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thank you for having me as a part of your podcast.
Yeah. Honestly, this was amazing.
Yeah.
And I'm just loving the director, not this politicking, but just the people now that are coming on and hearing their dreams because it really I want this to be a safe place to put their encouragement to make these steps towards their future.
Yeah.
And hearing from your journey from growing up in Mova and moving to Sawa and just regular people that we underestimate so much.
Yeah.
I really want people to see your life and be able to be impacted and say, you know what, I could do it because he did it.
Right.
So I thank you for sharing your journey. I thank you for everything that you've shared with everyone. And I can't wait to see this release.
Nice, nice. I appreciate that. Thanks a lot.
And you know what? It's like all the onlookers who probably had comments before.
Mhm.
Now it's like, oh, that's why he did what he did.
Yeah.